Hello, Crystal Palace. Welcome to the Upper Norwood Library Hub's Library Live Lunch. This is intended as a bit of entertainment, something positive, a way of keeping the community connected and maybe for you to find out about things you didn't know about in the local area or find out about things you do know about in more depth. So my guest today is Mark Wilson, who is Club Secretary for the Wanderers Football Club based in Upper Norwood. Mark, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you.
Hi there.
Tell us a bit about the club as it is now.
So we're a football club who have recently moved into the local area, and we run two men's football teams on Saturdays and a women's team on Sundays. We also train with those teams themselves. They train a few times a week. We have a partnership with a youth club called Brixistain in Lambeth. We have a pretty lively social calendar, including annual tours overseas. So we do quite a lot in terms of the football side of things. But the club itself is really there to not only just to provide football for people to participate in, but to contribute in some way to our local community.
And who plays? Is it open to anybody?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's great that we can come on a show like this because it can help us promote the fact we're looking for volunteers and we're looking for fans, but also looking for players. Mm-hmm. And anyone can join. It's essentially at the moment we offer opportunities for anyone over 16, and in the future we are looking to develop that into other areas. So we ran recently, last summer, some football training sessions for kids that were free in our new venue at Virgo Fidelis Senior School. So we've been putting on events for kids, and we tried to do a bit more in our grand opening, but unfortunately the weather let us down a little bit. But yeah, so we're trying to do more as much as we can in terms of providing ways for people to participate.
Brilliant. And there's actually quite a long history behind the club, isn't there? So can you give us a sort of potted version of that?
Yeah, it is quite a lengthy history, so I appreciate time is of the essence. But yeah, the club was founded in 1859 in sort of Leytonstone, Epping Forest Way, by the Alcock brothers, John and Charles. And the club, back in the early 1800s, football was really not established in any way we would recognise now. And they would play football by getting just a group of friends together and say, right, everybody line up by height and you half play you half. Or they'll do, right, you were born January to June, you're July to December, that's our teams. It was very ad hoc, but they got a good reputation. And when the FA was founded in 1863, Forest, as they were known, were invited to come and be a founder member. So they formed a committee there to try and help teams to play by the same rules, because in the past it was very ad hoc. People would turn up and say, right, we've got 9 players and you've got 15, so let's kind of even it out. Or they'd have very different rules depending on what school they'd been to. So the FA was established to create a kind of unified code of laws. And Wanderers went from being a founder member there to proposing the idea of the FA Cup, which was the first nationwide knockout football tournament, which is still going to today. And Wanderers won the first tournament in 1872. They retained it in 1873 and then won it 3 more times in the 1870s. But as schools, like public schools in the South, had been very kind of reluctant to play football and to allow their students to play football. So they essentially didn't have any football teams until it started getting very popular. So when those schools like Harrow and Eton and so on started their own football teams or their old alumni teams, a lot of the players that Wanderers would have brought in went and stayed with their schools. So Wanderers was actually the first club to allow everybody to participate from whatever schooling background they had. So that was their kind of history. Folded in 1887, and I reformed them in 2009 with the support of the Alcock family to raise money for charity.
Cool. I love that you've sort of kept elements from when it was formed, nearly 100 years ago. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I'm just going to detour for a second and say hello to Stephen, Jake, and Andy, who I can see are watching on the Facebook stream. I know there's more of you than that, but those are the people I can see. If you have any questions or anything for Mark, please do send them across on the Facebook feed and we will try and answer them as we go along. So the club has only recently moved to Upper Norwood, hasn't it? And it's moved around a bit, I think, before that. So how did you end up here?
Well, the Wanderers, when they originally found, there was a bit of a split between John and Charles Alcock, and Charles wanted it to be a team that moved around and played the best clubs in the country. So it had a kind of nomadic nature to it for a few years, until he became secretary of the Surrey Cricket Club, and so then coincidentally Wanderers played at the Oval. So that was technically their home ground for quite a long time. So when we reformed, we were playing games that on pitches we hired from the council. So we played at Bel Air Park in West Dulwich. Then we had to move because they installed some drainage barriers that meant the pitch had to be was too small for adult football. So we ground shared a little while with AFC Croydon Athletic in their Mayfield Road Stadium. We then, because that became, the pitch surface sort of degraded quite quickly, so we moved to play in Rains Park, where there was where there was an available pitch. So when the opportunity came up to play in Upper Norwood, we jumped at it, because essentially it's such a great location for us. Because Charles Alcock's buried in the cemetery in West Norwood. Pickles discovered the 1966 World Cup, I think, up around the corner. So a dog discovered the stolen World Cup trophy.
Wow.
And for us, it's really close to where we train anyway. We train in Tulse Hill. So it's the goal for me as the club secretary is to try and make our geographic footprint much smaller, and so it allows us to be more effective rather than trying to do lots of things to lots of people in a very large area. Trying to do some specific things in a smaller area means we can start putting down some roots. So for us, it was a massive opportunity.
Be easier to build a proper solid community, won't it, as well?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. You've done quite a bit of work, I think, improving the grounds in the area, haven't you?
Well, we were down there just yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The pitch, the playing surface has been there for as long as the school. So it's been there 160 years, which is about roughly the same time as Wanderers, in terms of our lifespan. So it was quite nice that there was an opportunity that Sister Bernadette, who is the Mother Superior there, allowed us to move in, and that was fantastic. But part of that agreement was we said that we need to raise some money to level out the pitch as best we can and install some facilities like goals and netting and things like that. So we did a crowdfunding campaign that was really successful, and we raised over £10,000 thanks to a variety of people I have to mention. So obviously the Mayor of London's fund helped us, and the Football Foundation, Better Foundation, our local councillor Stephen Mann, there's Football 567. So a bunch of people who've actually really bought into our idea of adapting an extremely important playing surface for both Burgerfield and the Norwood School and other parts of the community into one where we can put on competitive football matches, which is both beneficial for us as a club, of course, but also for all the people who use it at the moment.
Fantastic. Stephen Mann's actually watching, as is Andy Scholes from the Friends of Gypsy Hill, who I think
fantastic.
So just tell everybody how you know Andy from the Friends of Gypsy Hill as well, because that was a really nice story.
Absolutely, yeah. So we were both invited to City Hall for the kind of announcement of who had won what funding from the Mayor of London crowdfunding campaign, and it was nice to meet up there because there's a really lovely kind of reception. So we sat in the kind of auditorium, and they announced who'd got what, and everyone was very happy to hear. Everyone's had projects and understand who across London is doing this kind of community outreach and investment. And then there was quite a nice reception afterwards. We had some nibbles and wine and so on. And we were chatting there on this really fantastic floor, which is like a big map of London. And you kind of realise that you're standing where your projects are taking place. And we're looking around, and it was really nice just to meet up. And Andy's been fantastic in connecting, obviously, us for this, but a variety of other ways we've built connections in the community, which has been really helpful. And I'm very grateful for him for doing that. I think part of our expectations is that we're going to be able to do that at some point as well, is that when other local groups or people are in that community, we become someone who can make those connections rather than someone who just kind of takes that support and runs with it. So it's been really, really helpful to us.
And that'll be one of the joys about putting down some roots a bit more solidly, won't it? Having a home ground place to build a community of your own. Andy actually has put a comment saying, well done on the crowdfunding, and when do you think you'll be back playing again? So maybe this is a good time to just talk about kind of obviously right now there's less happening.
Yeah.
You've been continuing work on the grounds, I think you said.
Exactly. So the chairman and I have been down with, soil and turf and seed, because essentially there's a main sewer that runs from the school buildings to the road, which has left a sort of funny divot, if you like, quite a big one. And we've already put about 8 tons of soil in, in the pitch as a whole, and we've been going back. And the surface itself, when it gets really hot, it kind of cracks open. So we need to start, we're trying to fill it with soil. We're not experts, we're just trying to give it a go. But at the moment, obviously, the FA decided several weeks ago, I guess 5 weeks ago, there's no more football going on. Now, about a week before that, the men's league had said, look, this is not worth it. We're going to unilaterally cease football. So our men's first team and second team stopped playing football at the end of February, start of March, so ages ago. And the women's team, we haven't, I mean, I personally haven't heard anything official from them, from their league, but they haven't been playing games either. Inevitably, all the facilities we hire have then been suspended because they're all schools or parks. So we have essentially ground to a halt, which for a lot of clubs at higher levels, where they're completely they have paid staff and they're reliant on money coming in from matches, that's a real risk to their existence. Mm-hmm. For us, because we aren't at that level yet, we don't have significant outgoings like those other professional clubs. We only have to worry about paying for stuff when we use it. Then when we sort of run up to a kind of solid stop, it's frustrating, and it means the club itself has missed out on up to £3,000 of income that we could have spent on the pitch and on the facilities. But it is what it is, and you can't really worry about things like that when there's bigger stakes on the line. So it's a shame we haven't been able to play football for some time, and I think we will try, and our planning is to get started again probably June, mid-June to end of June, but we have to just wait and see, unfortunately. So in the meantime, we have to try and come up with ideas to keep people engaged. So online quizzes, little social media challenges, things like that. We recently launched our new kit, which is going to be made by Hope and Glory, which is a small kit supplier. And we've got a competition running at the moment on Twitter with the Kit Man, who is a kit aficionado, if you like, to win one of those first kits. So everyone's very excited about it. There's a pre-order window up to the 9th of May, so not a very long period of time. And then after that, it will roll out. And we're looking forward to actually being able to wear it when we're playing matches again.
You mentioned a previous kit that was relevant to Crystal Palace actually as well.
Yeah, so we had when we moved to up Norwood, we wanted to create a bit of a kind of event for it. So unfortunately, it landed on the same day as the Rugby World Cup final. So it meant that most people were staying indoors to watch England play South Africa, but also the rain was torrential. So we had to cancel loads of great things we were going to do, and just to get the 2 games that were organised play, because those were kind of immovable things. But we designed a kit that we released, a limited edition kit, which was made by a company in Philadelphia called Icarus. And there was a limited, there was 59 available to buy, which are now all gone, except for the ones that I've got in my sort of storage, which were black with a kind of 1800s map of West Norwood on the black kit, so kind of black and silver, with the kind of highlights in our traditional colours, because the traditional Wanderers colours are kind of depending on the reports, because there were no photographs, but there were written match reports. So the gold, pink, and black hoops. So gold, pink, and black hoops. So quite an interesting design. I've got a Subbuteo set that was made in the same colour scheme. So sort of go based on that that original design. And we've recently had to kind of make do with just gold or yellow, because it's not a very common design. So it's quite nice to have that new design. And the limited edition kit that we've got will probably make available to sale when the season starts again, I think. So that might be a way to make up that lost income, so we can use that money in a more productive way.
Yeah. And you've got more plans, haven't you, of things that you want to do to the pitch and sort of facilities and things as well?
Yes, at the moment there's a full-size adult pitch and there's a 7-a-side junior pitch. We've got our mega shed, which is like a little kiosk where we can sell snacks and so on, and kind of store, balls and so on. We'd like to be able to bring people in to come and support. So we are open as the venue is whenever we've got a match on. So I'd encourage anyone who's viewing now who's interested to follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or wherever to see when the next matches are happening. And yeah, there's more we'd like to do. And our kind of long-term goal is in terms of surface, the surface being more resilient so we can play more games, but also rent that out for other teams to play there. Potentially install solar panels to charge phones where people are waiting around by the benches. We'd like to get a video camera so we can actually film matches. So we've got lots of big ideas that we hope will kind of raise our profile, but also provide more. But one of the things we've been doing is working with our charity partners, Calm, to have some resources at the venue. So one of the things I've always wanted to do is a football match isn't just something for 22 guys to run around and get sweaty. It's actually something where people can go and enjoy it as an entertainment. And what would be quite nice, I think, is to encourage people who maybe live on their own or are finding things difficult to come and meet other people, socialize as much as they're able to, but they can also collect information about different things such as grief, such as suicide, such as depression, that we can then provide them with some kind of touch point for that to hopefully provide a way of them coping with that issue.
Tell us, just for anybody who's watching who doesn't know, tell us what Calm is, the charity.
Yeah, so Calm is the campaign against living miserably that initially started out as being purely for men who are more susceptible to suicides over the age of 25, I think it is. So there is a real problem that they've tried to help there, and they've got a phone line people can call, very much like you imagine Childline or Samaritans. They provide a direct line with a counsellor there. But they're also using football as a way to promote that, and they're expanding out beyond their original remit of being just a male-focused charity to being more inclusive. And it's a big challenge, I think. Many of our players know someone or have heard of someone or a friend of a friend who's committed suicide or has had particular issues with grief and mental health. And I think whilst we accept the research that says that keeping fit and playing sports is very good for building your resilience and your mental health, sometimes doesn't always spread beyond the touchline. So there are obviously players who are going to be struggling that we want to be supportive to as much as we can without being too prescriptive. And there are also fans who are going to come down, and I think it just gives them a way of accessing that information without having to go to a doctor or to go to a counsellor, which might have certain preconceptions about that. People might feel a little bit squeamish about it still when they shouldn't, in all honesty. So this is another way of getting that information out to people who might need it.
It's still an area that's taking a little time to become sort of acceptable to talk about more openly, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
But it comes back to what you were saying before about community and the importance of community and kind of building that, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult because if you're a meritocracy and you select players based on their ability, it can be quite ruthless. Whereas you then need to think you can't be a successful organisation if that's all you do. You have to provide more to allow those people who maybe aren't good enough at the sporting side to have something else they can do that contributes to the success of the organisation and the community we operate in.
Awesome. Well, you're in a good area for that here, I have to say.
Definitely, yeah.
I've been here for about 3 years, and it's by far the loveliest, most community orientated place in London, but also anywhere that I've ever lived. So you're in a good place for that here. I've got a couple of comments I just want to read to you. So Stephen Mann says, keep up the great work. Very pleased to have you in the ward and hope to see the club continue to grow both in the leagues and in the community.
Great, that's very thanks. I really appreciate that.
And Andy Scholes replied to the what you were saying about when you were hoping to start up again, and said you could be the next Sky Live game with suitable social distancing.
You never know. You never know.
You've actually got a couple of other props there, haven't you?
I have, yeah. So one of the things we do, again, it's partly the fact that players who pay to play generate, the income for the club, and that allows us to provide more for them, and showing some level of recognition in that. So we have a shield here, which is like a little plaque that we give to players after their 50th cap. As we discussed before we came on air, unfortunately, it feels like we've kind of run out, and I'm not sure they're still being made, so we might have to switch to something else. But it's quite nice to there are probably 20 of those that have been given out, and there's still people waiting for theirs because we've now run out. But there's also we give people this cap, which is very much like an England cap. If you ever play for your country, they get awarded one of these. And we do this for people who reach 100 appearances. So I think we've given out 4 or 5. So they're quite rare. We've got a few more to give out, I think, over the next few months. In fact, in about a month's time, we're doing our end of season awards, which, as you can imagine, we can't get together and socialise like we would normally.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a solution that it'll definitely be online, and whether it's a difficult situation as to whether we send out the trophies to individuals, and when you kind of reveal who won it, they can go, "Oh, great, I won," or if I keep them all and everybody's on a Zoom call just kind of waiting to see if they've been successful, and then you go, you won. So we're trying to figure out the solution for that, but that's the kind of the next social event we have coming up.
Well, thank goodness for the technology that allows us to actually still communicate and be able to do things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're coming towards the end of our time, but I think probably the most important question in a way is, how can people get involved? So obviously you're not able to run events, but people can still follow you and kind of keep an eye on when you're starting up again and things, can't they? So what's the best way?
Definitely. Well, I guess the easier way is just to get in touch. So visit our website, which is originalwanderers.com, or follow us on social media. And just if you'd like to play, that's very simple. We have training sessions that are your first session is always free, and they would normally run a Tuesday or a Thursday. We have the men's do a Tuesday, the women's do a Thursday, and we have another men's session on a Thursday. We are looking so players for us are important to bring in new and better skills to improve the standard of the football. Mm-hmm. We're looking for volunteers to help us do more. So the scope is very broad. So we're looking for people to come forward and say, I'm really interested in whatever. If it's social media, or it's writing up match reports, or perhaps it's engaging with sponsors, or whatever it might be, we'd like to hear from people who are interested in participating. Obviously, that takes a lot of the pressure off me and allows us to spread the risk as well. So I always worry about this. I've in my head this under a bus plan, because if I get knocked under a bus someday, then how do we keep the club going? And that's why we sort of delegate tasks. And I guess the most important thing for us right now, in terms of those two sides of it, players and volunteers, the players are at a level now where we could potentially go up a division in the next season or two, but we need the funding to do that, to be able to install a changing room block. So to go back to your question about the investment in the facilities, we actually need to try and find a way to put in a new changing room block, because at the moment, being a single-sex school, there's only one changing room. So to go up another level, we need changing rooms for the home and away team and the referee, and that's quite expensive. It's about £50,000 if you wanted the kind of FA standard. So we can probably do something that would only cost 25. That would be kind of converted shipping containers. That would be fantastic. So obviously, if there's sponsors out there who are interested, we'd love to hear from them. But I think what's most important for us is getting people to come to the games. Just come and see what it's all about. Meet the team. What's interesting, we're not a typical. I'm being very judgmental, but a typical Sunday League team where people turn up hungover. There's a ball involved, but normally they have a bit of a fight, and it's all pretty aggressive. We're nothing like that at all. We're very much a Saturday League team who want to go places and have a very clear vision of what we're going to achieve. And I think a lot of the players buy into that, and it's very positive because of that. So I'd invite anyone to come and watch us and see what I'm wanging on about. And then anything that happens off the back of that in terms of volunteers, players, and financial support, we'd be hugely grateful for.
Fantastic. Well, you've convinced me to come and have a watch, and I have never been into football, so that's quite an achievement.
Thank you. That's good.
I'm just going to say hello to Daniel and Rebecca, who are watching, who are both people I know from the local community. It's lovely to have you watching. Thank you. And I have a follow-up comment from Stephen Mann for you, which is he says to drop him an email and he'll see if we can start discussions within the council. So there you go.
Amazing, that's fantastic. Yeah, we definitely will.
The funding that you just talked about. So yeah, do that. Brilliant.
Great.
Thank you so much, Mark, for coming and having a chat with us. It's
my pleasure.
Interesting and definitely a topic I know very little about. So I know more now. Thank you.
I'm not sure how useful that information will be, but maybe a pub quiz somewhere will have an extra few points for you.
Absolutely. Well, it might mean that I can participate in a football conversation without looking like a total idiot, which is would be a first. So
that's fair enough.
Thank you very much. Just to give you all now a quick update on our live streaming program before we finish. So as you know, I'm sure we have a very big live streaming program through the Upper Norwood Library Hub. As the venue is shut, we've just put as much of it online as we possibly can. So please make use of it. That is one of the best ways to support us through this time, is actually to make use of the live streaming program and to comment on it, tell us how it's going, show that you're using it. You can also become a supporter of the Library Hub if you want to do a little bit more. There is a link to the side of the video at the bottom of the description. We'd be very grateful for to have more supporters. So if that's of interest, please have a look. We have as many things as possible on the live streaming program. We have yoga, we have meditation, we have singing classes, we have children's stories, we have Talkioki, which is a chat show that anybody can just jump on and get involved in. The next couple are the 6th and the 20th of May. They're Wednesdays. I think it's at 2 o'clock. It'd be lovely to have some local participation. We have Izzy Sutty on Sunday reading from her book Under My Skin, which sounds awesome. I'm going to tune into that. And I think that's it for the live streaming program. There's just lots. Please go and have a look. I have one other update, which is to say that the Friends of Gypsy Hill are currently running a banner competition, with the first prize being that your design actually will be hung on the lampposts down Gypsy Hill. So if you fancy a bit of a creative project, do head to their website and have a look, or their Facebook page, have a look for that. You have 1 week. They extended the deadline, so the deadline is now the 8th of May, which is next Friday. So yeah, if you've got a bit of time and some creative energy, please go and check that out. And we will be back with the Library Live Lunch on Monday. So have a lovely day. Hope to see you on Monday. And thank you again, Mark, for coming and joining us for today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
See you later, guys. Have a good weekend.